Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling with Reality podcast. This is your host, Eric Malikian, alongside the one and only Chris Kloss. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Eric, good to be back here on the Wrestling with Reality podcast. I'm excited about our guest today. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have a very special guest today, Chris. Would you mind doing the introductions only like you can?
You got it. This is going to be an exciting episode. And introducing one of the American Gladiators, one of the original American Gladiators, former professional wrestler. He's appeared on numerous TV shows, not least Married with Children, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Walker, Texas Ranger. The guy's a professional stuntman, a father, a man of faith. We're going to talk all about that. Doing great humanitarian work. The one and only, what is it? Malibu. It's Thor. It's a lot of AKAs. Deron McBee, welcome to the Wrestling with the Reality podcast, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey guys, I'm so stoked to be a part of this, man. Thank you so much for bringing me on. We're gonna have an awesome time today.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are. Well, you know what, Deron? Let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up and how it led from there to you getting casted on American Gladiators.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool question, actually, because when I was a little kid, okay, so I'm going to date myself, but in the 60s, late 60s, there was a show called Batman with Adam West. I don't know if you ever guys saw that show, but okay, so I didn't realize it was kind of a campy joke. To me, Batman was the coolest thing in the world. So I was like this huge Batman fan when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, right? And I remember there was a circus coming by, and Adam West was doing a personal appearance as Batman at the circus, right? And so my dad was cool enough. He's a real big guy too. He's like 6'4". And I remember I said, Dad, I want to see Batman so bad. And so as Adam was walking, getting close to the crowd, my dad picks me up with his head, Superman's me close to Adam West, and I touched him. My dad said I got so excited when I touched Adam West that I broke into hives. So it was just like, this amazing moment in my life, man. So the reason why it pertains to these days is, I remember, as I was growing, getting older, I always thought to myself, if I ever get to a place where, I've got fans or anything like that, I'm never going to forget how I felt when I touched Batman. Because a lot of kids, when I was doing the Gladiator and stuff, that's what they feel about the Gladiators. They feel like you're the larger than life superhero kind of guy. So I never forgot to take the time to sign an autograph, encourage the kids, lift them up, take pictures, whatever it took. So it was a pivotal moment for me and a real blessing. So that's kind of how my introduction to the superhero thing and the whole kind of beginning steps to becoming an actor and Gladiator. My dad used to be an amazing baseball player. He's drafted the Dodgers. Coming out of high school, he's pitching a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So he was pretty amazing. He got injured, as fate would have it, and he went into the business world. But he always was working out. I was so impressed by him. And to be honest, I was one of these super late bloomers in high school. Like, if you can remember, like the nerdiest kid in school, that was me. Hi. I was like a 98-pound weakling, skinny. I had big glasses, buck teeth, the whole thing. And I used to get bullied a lot. And so I thought to myself, I've got to do something about this. I was super insecure. And so in high school, I started hitting the weights. I started working out and watching movies and seeing these guys reading comics. Believe it or not, I'm a total comic nerd. And I had watched wrestlers all the time. I love the old school guys, man, the Jake the Snake and all these guys, Coco Bear, all these really cool guys in the past. It was so much fun. So I thought, you know what, if I could ever be one of these larger-than-life guys, that would be my dream. But, of course, I had to work out because I weighed about 125 pounds at 5'6" in high school, at junior high school, believe it or not. So I didn't grow until I got out of high school. But that was kind of the genesis of everything that got me moving in that direction.
Wow, that's pretty enlightening. Now, how did you, from there, you said you were a late bloomer. How did that take you from your developing years to American Gladiators, and how did that whole process come about?
Right. So back in the 70s and 80s, racquetball was super popular. I don't know if you remember that game, but it was like really popular in the 70s, 80s. And I became an avid racquetball player to the point where I was literally ranked in probably the top 20 in the country. And then I played like the number 2 guy in the world, the number 3 guy in the world. I beat the number 3 guy. Number 2 guy took to a tiebreaker, lost by 1 point. So I was really good in the racquetball thing. So from there, I started getting the whole fitness thing, started working out. The racquetball died. And so I said, what can I do to make, money for the least amount of college, because I'm a big college guy. So I became an LA County sheriff. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. But yeah, I worked for the LA County Sheriff for about 7 years. Got injured, but it was a great discipline for me. It really taught me how to respect people, to be disciplined, which helped my workouts and the rest of my life. And from there, I just thought, what do I really want to do? I got injured. I broke my back in a fight with an inmate in the jail. I go, that's enough. I don't want to do this anymore. So I walked away from the sheriff's department, and I thought, what do I want to do? I want to be an actor. So I put my hair long. I started training like an animal, and I started thinking, okay, I just really want to see if I can be an actor, a stuntman, and see, what's out there for me. So that's what I did. I started going on auditions. I worked out. I got super buff when I was 29. Took me about that long, and it was really interesting because I had super bad stage fright. The worst. Sorry about that. The worst thing that happened for me was. Can you hear me? Okay, guys. Okay. So the worst thing that happened to me was that I had, believe it or not, so going on these auditions, and I would get so nervous. Casting directors literally called my manager and said, "Don't ever send Deron McBee back here because he's the worst actor we've ever seen." And my manager asked me, "Do you really want to do this line of work because you pretty much suck at it?" And I said, "No." I said, "Just give me a chance. I've got terrible stage fright. Once I get past it, I know I'll start booking jobs." So he hung with me for another 6 months, and I finally started getting over stage fright. And I booked my very first job, which was Married with Children. And that was just absolutely like an amazing gift. So I worked in that show. Of course, I was nervous, but the cast was so great. They were all really nice to me, very professional, and I just had a super blast with that. And so that's kind of how it was, guys.
Cool. Wow, that shows your resiliency. You were working for the LA County Sheriff's Department. You got hurt, broke your back, and then you trained so hard enough, you got casted for American Gladiators eventually, and
right.
Got to very phenomenal shape.
Yeah, thank you. And you know how that goes, guys. It's today's, unfortunately, they think that they can take a pill or, go to the gym once or twice and they're going to look a certain way. And it's like, that's not what it is. I mean, it is about resiliency. I talk about that a lot. And also perseverance and discipline. You got to have those things, and you got to be focused and willing to, cut out certain things in your life so that you can achieve your goal. And, for me, that just meant I was laser focused on getting in great shape, eating correctly, taking lessons, and preparing myself for my future. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what it takes. You got to dedicate yourself and be resilient. Because in acting, you got to have a thick skin. You hear no a lot, so you got to bounce back all the time.
So, Deron, tell us a little bit, when you did get casted for American Gladiators, how was that experience, and how legit, obviously, was the whole process, the whole experience, and were you surprised by the popularity of the show? Because I grew up 5-6 years old. You guys were my heroes, along with Hulk Hogan, Young Warrior, and guys
right.
like that. You were right up there.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So it was really, really interesting. I knew from when I first started auditioning for them, they said this is a full-on reality show. And really, when you think about it, the American Gladiator really killed the whole reality show TV thing. because there really wasn't anything like it before. So, excuse me. So I got on the show, I was interviewed, and they said, be ready, because you're going to get your butt kicked. This is full-on competition. This is real. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know, when you're someone like me or Dan Clark, who's Nitro, we're like, whatever it takes, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? We want to be on TV. It's a chance of a lifetime. So both of us got on, and we had no idea how rough it was. Obviously, for me, the very day I filmed, I got that massive concussion on the human cannonball. When you guys saw that, it was totally devastating. So people don't realize, how bad it was, because my character Malibu kind of played it off when I was interviewed. But the reality was I was knocked out on my feet. By the time I got to the emergency room, they had plastic surgery on my forehead. I had a severe concussion and could not remember what day it was. I didn't know who the president was, and I couldn't remember where I parked my car. So it was pretty much an eye-opening experience that very first day.
Speaking of presidents, I remember President Clinton said that was his favorite show at the time. Uh-oh. Can you see me, Eric?
Yes, I can see you. Can you see me?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm gonna edit all this. Yeah. So it just seems like he's having reception issues. I'm on the road, but when he comes on, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, no worries. Yeah. So talk amongst yourself. Be fine. Be free. Because
We'll
this
take all
is
this
just going to
out
be on the cutting room floor until
Right.
he comes back.
I think he's having the same phone. I think he's having the same phone issues that we were.
Yeah.
And that gets funny too, right? Like, especially like in the evenings, right? And what I found is a lot of people, because he's in Arizona, right?
He's in California somewhere.
Oh, is he? Okay,
Yeah,
then he
last
might be
night-
remote.
Last night,
Because-
Jeff was in Arizona.
Okay. So, I mean, towards the end of the day, when people are getting home from work and school and everything, let's say I have like a super strong internet, whatever. Like a lot of times when I was doing mine for my apartment, literally the only internet provider was Spectrum, right? So if the whole block was using the Spectrum, then it would be spotty. So, oh, there you go. Mute, and here he is. All
Hey,
right.
sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but everything kind of blacked out there for a second.
No worries. You're good. You're good. All right. All of that will get cut out. So no worries. Pick up with wherever you want to leave off, and then again, I'm gonna drop out. But again, thank you, Jen.
I sure hope not. I'm trying to be in the right spot. I'm right under a tower, so I don't know what the problem is there.
It's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good. All right. I'm gonna drop off and then continue.
Do you want me to start back from the whole Gladiator thing at the hospital, or what do you want me to do?
I think we could start back from when I asked you, when you mentioned you didn't know who the president was, and then I'll just come in with the Bill Clinton. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
So Deron, you mentioned when you got concussed, you didn't know who the president was, and I remember at the time President Clinton, when he was president, he said the American Gladiators was his favorite show on television, publicly, and everyone.
No kidding. Oh my gosh! And it's so funny you mentioned. I'm one of the guys that hadn't heard that, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I know one thing's for sure, guys, because when none of us knew what to expect when we did this show. I mean, we didn't know if it was going to be a big turkey or if we had a tiger by the tail. And
Right.
One thing I knew is I was working at Universal Studios, literally on the upper lot. I was doing the Conan live action show when I was working on the lower lot doing American Gladiator. So I'm like living this really cool dream. But one night, about 15 guys from a fraternity are running past me, and they come skidding to a stop, and they go, "No way, you're that Malibu guy." And I said, "Yeah, man, how's it going?" He goes, "Bro, we party with you every Friday night." And I'm like, wow, man. So I knew we had something because the frat guys were totally watching it.
Yeah.
And then I was at a movie theater, not, I don't know, maybe a month or two later. And I'm coming out of the movie. A bunch of kids let out. And I got mobbed by about 200 kids. It was crazy. So I really got an idea that this show was a monster, that people were loving it. They were having a great time. Guys were, playing games in their frats, and kids were playing the Gladiator games. And so it was really an amazing time in my life.
Right.
And it was one of the highest rated TV shows in syndication as well at the time. I think you guys were even beating out Baywatch.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, at one point in time, we were actually wiping out wrestling. So we knew when we were beating out the wrestling ratings that we had something big time. Really. So I'll tell you another thing. When I was traveling, we did a live tour. Did you guys hear about that at all?
Yes, we were going to actually ask you about that.
Okay. Well, talk about understanding how popular the show was. We sold out Madison Square Garden. And so when I was on the floor of Madison Square Garden, looking at 22,000 people losing their minds for us, that was like a defining moment in my life to realize this is something. And fans get, you guys are into the wrestling scene, they go crazy, and it's amazing, So great time, great experience. The tour was a blast.
That's amazing. You guys sold out Madison Square Garden, I think, at a time when the WWF, which was their home turf, they weren't even selling out. So that just goes to show you how popular you guys were.
Yeah, it was crazy. And can I tell you a really story about that really touches my heart?
Sure.
It was probably the greatest experience of my life with the Gladiators. So we have a time when we were all signing autographs, and this one little boy comes up to me. He's got a baseball cap on. He goes, "Hey, Malibu, you're my hero. You're my favorite. Can you sign my cap?" I go, "Sure, buddy." So I sign his cap, Malibu, and he's wearing this gold chain on his neck, and it's a cross. He goes, "Malibu, I want you to have this because you're my favorite. I love you. Will you please wear this cross?" I go, "No, buddy, I'm not going to take your cross." He says, "My mom said it's totally cool." And I'm looking at his mom, and she's waving, nodding her head, please take it. So I take this kid's cross, I give him a big hug, and I say, "Thank you." He goes, "Oh, you're my favorite." Not 5 minutes later, another little boy comes up to me. He had a cap on his head. "Malibu, you're my favorite. I love you." He signed my hat. He takes his hat off, guys, and he was completely bald, chalky grayish green. He says, "Yes, I have a brain tumor, and it's terminal. But one of my last wishes was to come see you guys and see you, Malibu." I said, man, I started tearing up. I took that cross around my neck, and I said, "Buddy, this is for you." I gave him the cross, this gold cross, put it around his neck, signed his hat, and he was the happiest little boy in the world. And I thought, that's how God worked, man. It was an amazing experience, and I'll never forget it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really precious moment, man.
It's beautiful. Well, not to jump ahead, because we'll go back a little bit, but when along the way did your faith with God and Jesus Christ take a hold on you, and when did you become born again, and how did it change your life?
Yeah, great question. So I was kind of born into a family. My grandfather was a full gospel singer. He had records. His name was Bill Carl. He actually sang on the White House lawn back in the 60s. So I totally was kind of into that. And my grandmother, just an amazing woman of God, as well as my mom. And for me, I kind of always heard about this, but it became really real for me in the summer of 1973 in a bungalow on a baseball field in Van Nuys, California, First Baptist Church of Van Nuys, where I went in. I'd heard the message and preached really clearly. And I bowed my head and accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior at 13 years old. And, from then on, it's been such an amazing, amazing journey, getting closer to God, learning more, and just seeing how much and how real the faith in God, it is. I mean, it's not just a thing. It's not a religion. It's a real relationship. And it just changed my life. I mean, the things that I would normally want to do, like, chasing women and doing drugs and stuff like that, for a long, long, long time, I didn't touch any of that, didn't want to touch any of that stuff, because God had completely changed my heart, became unappealing for me. It wasn't like this big chore. So to me, it changed everything. And that experience of that little boy, I go, man, that's a God moment right here. That's God working, And so to me, that was what it was for me. I still live out my faith. I study my Bible, every single night, and I'm a student of the Bible probably for 25 years now. And I'm more thankful today than ever. And have I gone through tough times? You bet. We'll probably talk about some of those things. Have I experienced some major losses in my life? You bet. But the thing is, when you have a foundation of faith, and when you have a foundation of God, you've got something bigger and someone bigger than yourself to look up to, who is there and who'll give you the strength to get through days that you don't think you're ever going to get through. And it's quite an amazing, amazing thing. So I'm just super thankful that I accepted Christ as my Savior, guys. And I'm so thankful you give me the opportunity to share that today.
No, thank you. We truly appreciate it. We're going to ask you more about that later and all the great work you're currently doing, because I mean, it's truly humanitarian, work you're doing. You're doing some amazing stuff, and we'll absolutely be covering that further in detail. Thank you. So after American Gladiators, how did you transition to professional wrestling? How did that experience go about? And what was your experience training over at Slammer's Wrestling Gym like?
Oh my gosh, you remember Slammer? Yeah. So what happened was I went to a national, I think it was called NAPD. You guys never heard of NAPD? It's a national, it's a place where everybody goes, a convention for people that pitch new TV shows and things like that. People like Oprah Winfrey go there. All the big names go there that have TV shows, talk shows, etc. And we were pitching American Gladiators, and it just happened that Vince McMahon walked by and he saw me and sent somebody over to say, hey, listen, Mr. McMahon would like to talk to you. And I'm like, sure. So I went over there, and there was Vince McMahon standing next to him was a guy that was 6'11". It was The Undertaker. And it was before he was The Undertaker, named Mark. I forgot his last name, but nicest guy, man, just totally cool. And so Vince said, would you like to go to Canada and train up north at the Heart Foundation? And I said, yeah, I'd love to think about
Mm. Mm-mm.
Can you hear me, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
After we'll jump right back in where we left off, and then after that, I'll let you follow up, and we'll just continue to go from there.
I'll just go, if he doesn't bring up Sam Houston.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, it's just a connection deal, but we'll get through. And fill them in with like meeting Mark Callis. That's
Yeah.
I'm chopping at the bit. Like, oh
Yeah.
that's so good, because Taker talks about that same NAFTA like in the last ride and Rogan and everything like that. So you have Deron that was there with Vince and Taker. That is a clip right there.
Yeah.
So There you go. And then also, there you go.
Here we go again.
All
Sorry.
right.
Here you go. No worries. Really quick,
time's a charm.
not to take too much of it, but your Adam West experience, I had the same type of thing when I was a wee young lad with Raymond Burr. Yes, Perry Mason
Really?
came to San Francisco. I touched him, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to wash my hand at all. So I feel you there.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Listen, if it happens, I'm gonna keep coming back. So I apologize.
No worries. We truly appreciate
worries.
your
Yeah, absolutely. But I believe the guys are going to pick back up, and it's me and Mark Callis as Taker's pre Undertaker moniker. So that's a great story. So we're going to pick back up. I'm going to go ahead and drop off, and you guys are good.
Do you want to follow up, Eric, on that question? Ask it again.
You go for it, Chris.
Okay. So can you talk?
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, can you talk to Aaron a little bit about your after you transitioned into your wrestling training? Speaking of Slammers Wrestling Gym and everybody else that you may have met through your journey, maybe trying to look to the wrestling ring, the squared circle.
Right. You know, it was really cool because I ended up meeting a gentleman in Baton Rouge, Louisiana called Grizzly Smith, Jake the Snake's father.
Yeah.
And so I met him really briefly. He sent Sam Houston back to LA with me. Sam Houston was Jake the Snake's half brother.
Right.
Super cool guy. Super cool guy. He trained me. He was patient with me, worked with me because I had, some back issues when I was injured. And he got me ready for my first match, my first wrestling match, which was, I forgot who I fought, but the guy was like 300 pounds and he wanted me to step in, give him like a forearm shiv, do a belly to belly suplex and pin him. Well, I belly to belly this guy and he didn't want to go up with me. I guess he thought it'd be funny. So he didn't go up with me. I had to pick him up physically off the ground and I separated my shoulder, slamming this guy. Yeah. So it was like, let's just see how tough this kid is. So that was my experience with them. And I just remembered, okay, I'm going to go back and do, more. And they want to bring me back for TV and stuff. And I'm pretty good on the stick. So I was preparing for all that. And then I got a movie offer, my first starring role in a B film. And I thought, you know what, I prayed about it and said, which direction do you want me to go on? And I think as God would have it, I was doing a stunt job right before that. And I actually stunt doubled Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
Wow.
So that was, it was really cool. Now, I know I look nothing like him, but it was a long shot for a Toyota commercial. And I was driving, supposedly him, supposed to be Hulk, but I'm driving along and, so far away, it could have been one of you guys in there with a wig. Nobody would know the difference. But when I talked to Terry, he said, Deron, this is what it's like on the road. 270 plus days a year, you're traveling. It's tough on the family. And then when you're not traveling, you're doing interviews and this and that. And I go, man, I was just recently married at that time and had my first daughter. And so I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to do this? Do I want to make a career out of this or what? And then I got offered this really awesome movie job. Didn't pay much, but it was a starring role in a B film called The Killing Zone. And I did that movie and I got bit by the acting bug. And I said, this is where my life's going to go. So that's kind of what happened. The wrestling career kind of stopped as fast as it started.
Can you go back a little bit and talk about when you were at that convention and you met Vince McMahon and Mark Callis, who was known later as The Undertaker?
Yes. So I went to what's called the NAPTI convention. It's the National Television Producer something. It's where all the.
Damn. All right. Well, we'll just pick it up right there.
Yeah.
Since we just literally just did that.
I feel like that story is our unicorn. It's the
Yeah, I
death of
know,
us.
man.
It's the crux.
It's like
It's so good.
it's
Oh my
it's like
god,
the
it's so
ark.
good.
It's like Raiders of the Lost. It's like opening the ark. It's like you want to, but it just you really shouldn't. I don't know.
That's exactly it. Oh, it's so good. So good. And again, because it's been referenced that exact, like right before, and at this point, Taker was still scared that he was going to be Eggman. It's such a
Yeah.
pivotal, and he was there
So
with Vince and Taker.
this was like late or late 90, early 90 or late 89, early. Well, no, it would have been like late 90 right here.
Yeah, because
Or
Taker debuts what, 92 in Survivor
no,
Series?
90. No,
90.
Survivor Series 90.
89?
90.
90. Okay.
90.
Yeah. So,
This is like summer,
oh man.
summer or fall of 90, it sounds like.
So yeah, and I mean, even we didn't know what we know now, right? So Deron as Malibu is actually the bigger draw. I probably had Vince's
Yeah.
attention more.
Yeah, Mark Callis was probably Mark Callis.
All right, here we
Hey,
go,
I'm back
guys.
again.
All right, man.
Sorry.
Here we go.
No
Fourth
worries.
time.
I feel like this story is so good that like the internet doesn't want it to happen.
Right. They're all bitter. I moved to a different location. I don't know what it is because I haven't been having this problem and been doing, a lot of these. So sorry about that, guys.
No worries,
okay.
no worries. But if I
Don't
can give a
worry
little
about
bit of context, right? Because
Yeah.
I just can't believe that you were there because that very convention was mentioned in Taker's documentary, as well as Taker being on Rogan, and he brought up
Oh,
that story. And the
wow.
fact that you were there with them
Yeah.
at that convention, it's blowing my mind right now. So,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
and yes, and the fact of the matter is, Vince, especially his flirtation with Hollywood and what WrestleMania is, what have you, you were probably in his eyes the bigger prospect coming from American Gladiators
Right.
than Taker was.
It's interesting because, back then, nobody's really thought. Warrior, and he was about, the rest of the guys were big, but they weren't like ripped up, and I was ripped up. So I think that's why he liked me. Now all these guys are insane, great shape. But I think that was part of the appeal. Like you said, the Gladiators was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
it. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's so continue where you want to. I'm grinning from ear to ear because this is magic. Again, like you're kind of the Trinity, right? Is Vince, Taker, and then again You're doing it on this pod. With the deal was mentioned on both Taker's episode
Wow.
of Rogan, right, and
That's
on
wild.
his Last Ride documentary.
I'll
So
mention that. I'll mention that leading into the question too.
Sure.
Thank you,
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. I'm gonna let you guys get to it. I'm gonna drop off, but thank you again.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1. So Deron, can you elaborate on a little bit about the convention that you went to, where you had a meeting or you met up with Vince McMahon, who was with at the time, yet to be on WWF, WWE television, The Undertaker, Mark Callis, and he actually brought this up, this exact convention, this exact time with you were there, Vince was there. He brought this up on his interview with the Joe Rogan Experience, and he also brought it up on his documentary, The Last Ride. But you were there. You had a meeting with Vince. Again, Undertaker hadn't debuted yet. American Gladiators was such a phenomenon worldwide. So at that time, interestingly enough, Vince McMahon, you were bigger in his eyes than the Undertaker was. He just came mid-card WCW guy. Boom, you're on American Gladiators. He's got the two of you there. I think he's looking at you at the time.
Right. And Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. As I was kind of telling you guys a little bit earlier, I think a lot of it had to do, of course, so much heat from the Gladiators. So he was loving that, and he would have easily be able to put me over in wrestling. But also back in those days, as I was telling you guys weren't like really super ripped and buffed out like they are now. So I was like an anomaly. I came out looking ripped and tall at 6'4", and so I could just tell Vince saw something in me. And I really was flattered. I really was honored to meet him, and of course to meet Mark. What a neat guy. I mean, just this giant of a man, me 6'4", and he's dwarfing me. But a super polite guy, nothing like I expected when he's on The Undertaker. But yeah, it was amazing. He hadn't even been wrestling yet. I remember no tats, anything. So they hadn't given him his gimmick or any of that stuff. But anyways, yeah. I met Vince, and he said, "Would you like to go to Canada and work with the Hart Foundation and wrestle with those guys?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, those guys are awesome." So I told him tentatively yes, and then I actually ended up going and doing a commercial where I stunt doubled for Hulk Hogan, and I was doing a stunt for the guy, and I remember talking to Terry, and Terry just goes, "Darren," I asked him about wrestling. I said, "What's it like?" And he goes, "Darren, you got to be ready 273 days out of the year to be on the road. You got to be ready to sacrifice your time, your family, your life. I mean, these guys live, eat, breathe, drink, sleep, wrestling.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, so the sacrifice these guys make, and oh my gosh, the beating they take on a daily basis. People don't realize how tough these guys are. They don't realize how beat up these guys are. I mean, I doubled Triple H in a commercial. I've doubled Sting in a commercial. And one time, real quick, if you don't mind, I was doubling Triple H for a WrestleMania commercial, and they asked me to do a horse fall for him. And I said, sure. So he comes rolling in at 6 a.m., and I go up to his van that he's coming in, and I meet him. I shake his hand. I said, "I'm Darren. I'm your stunt double. Can I get your breakfast? What do you want?" Go to the honey wagon, grab your breakfast, coffee. So he gives me a breakfast order, and I see him walk out of that van, into a they call it motorhome, and he's walking bent over. He's in pain. I'm going, wow. I said, "What happened, buddy?" And he said, "Listen, we just had a chair match, and I think it was Puerto Rico or something like that, and they just beaten and wail on him." He said he took like 10 chair hits, and they beat him up. And so I was just sitting there going, this is real. These people, the fans don't realize how bad you guys get beat up 24/7, 273 days of the year. And by the time he came out of that van to do his thing, he was walking by. I knew he was faking it, but he's acting like he was healthy, strong, because he didn't want anybody to know that he was injured. And I thought, that's a tough dude. And so I got up, I did my horse thing, the horse reared, I did a double back off the ground and hit the ground, and it worked out perfect. But yeah, these guys are absolutely amazing athletes.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah,
it's a grueling business. I've trained in the wrestling ring, and until you do it, you take it for granted, and you think it's like bouncing off a trampoline, and it's anything.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I talked to Terry Funk when I did my first match, and he said, I got body slammed so hard once time, I crapped in my shorts. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had to think twice about that whole thing. I'm going, really? He's like, yeah, man. So you better make sure you're going to do this, brother. I go, well, thanks for the 411.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny you bring up Terry Funk. He unfortunately just passed away a little over a month ago.
So sorry. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. He was a neat guy, man. A gentleman. He didn't look down on me because he knew I was totally green. He was a gentleman to me. So
yeah,
that's sad. He was a legend for sure.
I had the pleasure of working with him too at the LA Sports Arena, and yeah, we just lost him. So no, that's great. You brought him up, and
wow.
Any stories with him, it's always great.
Yeah. Wow. Another guy that was really cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but I did a movie with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And
I worked with him too. He was
great guy. Great.
Yeah.
total family man, committed to his wife. I mean, I was so impressed by this guy, and he and I we rocked and rolled when we fought each other. It was great. I mean, I gave him some ideas. I said, "Hey, Roddy, you know, I'm playing the heel in this movie." I said, "Do you mind if I like spit in your face and lick it off? Something really nasty." He goes, "Yeah, bro, that sounds good, brother. Let's go for it." And so that's how cool he was. He was up for anything that would put him over, and we had just a ball together. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Deron, you know, you kind of segued well into the talk about, you know, wrestling kind of, you know, takes a toll on your body. You were also a professional stuntman, which I think is, you know, the unsung heroes in Hollywood and in entertainment. Can you just tell us the physical toll you guys take doing that, and how maybe people that watch movies really don't appreciate the hard work you guys go through and how you put your bodies through the ringer?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, because you're right. A lot of people just don't, you know, think stunt guys are, you know, they don't appreciate what some of us have gone through. And I can tell you, I mean, the Gladiator, I got a concussion, but that was just one of 4 other concussions I've had doing stunts. I've broken my back twice. Chuck Norris, we did a fight scene with Chuck Norris, and it was cold outside, and he cinched a headlock in me, and he fractured a vertebrae in my neck. He doesn't know it. I never told him that because I wouldn't, but these things are real. I mean, things happen. You don't want to hurt each other, but it happens. And, you know, little things that you don't think about. Like I did a stunt job where I jumped over a fence onto a floor, and the floor was made by construction guys before I got there. It was in a studio, and they didn't reinforce the floor. Well, my foot went right through the floor, and my hip bone jammed up into my, my leg bone jammed up into my hip and crushed it. Absolutely crushed my hip. And so following that, I have had 2 hip replacement surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, like I said, broken fingers, broken ribs several times. I think it's 5 concussions now. So yeah, we get our bell rung quite a bit. And you just gotta, you know, you just got to go for it and do it. And I've seen guys, oh my gosh, I've seen guys get injured so bad, and they just like shake it off and say, "All right, let's go." I'm like, "No, dude, you got a bone sticking out of your ribs, out of your side. You need to go to the hospital." "No, I'm good, man. Save it up." So, you know, the guys are amazing. They work super hard, and you're right. They're some of the unsung heroes in this business for sure.
Can you talk a little bit about, Deron, going back to Slammers a little bit, your training with Darren McMillan, Dynamite D, and also I guess it was a little bit later, you also went to UPW, the WWF Farm League at the time, down in Santa Ana in the early 2000s, and your dealings with any thoughts of your dealings with John Cena when he was down there as the prototype? Starting with Dynamite D and Slammers, and then to UPW and John Cena.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because Rick Bassman, who ran UPW, and I became good friends, and he wanted me to join a group called, I think it was called Power Team USA. And at the time it had Sting, the Ultimate Warrior, and it would have been me as a 3-way.
Oh. And
so I'm thinking, man, how cool would that be? Of course, Sting and Warrior went on to be superstars. But I trained there and had an amazing time. Saw John Cena. You can talk about John Cena. This is how amazing this guy was. First, I see him wrestling, and I was teaching a class about how to do dialogue, how to work on a stick and talk on the mic and all that stuff. And a lot of these, a lot of these guys were super green, and they really weren't good talking on the mic. So I would teach them, and John Cena comes in, and I give him the mic. I'd never seen him do anything, and he went into a 3-minute monologue of the most amazing dialogue I've ever heard. And I look at him and go, "John, there's nothing I can teach you. You are amazing." So the guy is, I mean, he's so gifted in so many ways. He's got an incredible body. He's an amazing athlete. And he's, as you guys know, he's amazing on the stick. He's really smart on top of it. So I knew right away, I said, "Rick, that guy's going to be a superstar. There's no question about it." And Rick knew that too. So it was really cool. Oh yeah. One more thing. I don't know if you know this or not, but TLC, the Learning Channel, did a documentary of kind of up and coming wrestlers. And at the time, my wife was training to get into the WWE. And she was this big, tall, gorgeous, half African-American and half white girl. And what the gimmick was that they're going to put her over to be a wrestler. And I was going to come in as Malibu, her manager. So we had this all set up, and she was training and doing amazing. And TLC filmed me and my wife in the wrestling ring with our two girls. It was really amazing. So that was a really, really cool time. Unfortunately, I think you guys may know, before all that came to fruition, my wife died very young at 35 from a heart attack. So my life was dramatically altered at that point in time. I became Mr. Mom. I had to really pull back on the movies and the TV stuff to raise my daughters. So it was looking like we were just going to be, on fire. And unfortunately, things just didn't work out that way. So that was a super, super tough time in my life, guys, because I felt like God was saying, listen, Deron, you can go and be an actor, you can go be a superstar, you can make millions of dollars, because my career was heading that way, but you're going to have your kids raised by a nanny, and they're not going to have a father or a mother. Or you can step up to the plate and be a man of faith and raise your girls. And so to me, it was a slam dunk. I chose to raise my daughters. Every time I saved up, lost my condo, lost my cars, my motorcycle. But the bottom line was there was nothing more precious to me or more important or more valuable than raising my two daughters. Right. So that's kind of where my career went after all that.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of Chris, myself, and Adam, we are truly sorry for your family's loss, and it's great to see that you stepped up as a man and the patriarch of your family, and doing what you needed to do for you and your family.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. And I think today, fortunately, in this day and age, we don't have enough real men that really want to take the time and do that. They shirk their responsibilities and they think money is going to make them happy or success. And that's not what it's all about, man, because kids spell love Time. Okay, time. You got to spend time with these kids and they know you love them. You can send them money, you can buy them cars, but unless you're hugging them, kissing them, encouraging them every single day and tell them how precious they are, it means nothing to them. And so I think the reason why so many of our young people today are in so much trouble is that we don't have enough men stepping up to the plate and doing what they need to do to take care of their wives, being good husbands and being good fathers. So that's just kind of what I really believe from my heart and soul, guys.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Same here.
Amen. Right on.
Mm-hmm. Eric, do you have anything else?
Well, basically, to go back to your time in wrestling, do you have any memories of our late great friend Deron McMillan, also known as Dynamite D? Do you have any memories you would like to share of your time training with him?
Guys, I was really, sad to hear that he passed away. Was it 2007 or something?
Yes.
2007.
Yeah. Well, what did he pass away from? I didn't even know until just recently.
He had cancer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he
was pretty young. He was pretty young guy too. I mean, like you said, this is back in 2007. So we just talked about him last night. We just talked about him last night as if, shoot, if we lost him today in 2023, it would be too soon. So it was a shock.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, he was a tough kid. That's one thing I was so impressed by. I mean, Slammer's Gym, I don't know if you guys have been there, but their wrestling mat is stiff.
Yes. Yes.
It is stiff.
Yeah.
So there ain't no spring in that floor. So I would watch this kid go to the top rope and he'd just land flat on his back. I'm going, oh my gosh, this kid's amazing. So I was super impressed by him. He was a nice kid. I didn't get to know him very well, but I got to tell you, he inspired me. He really inspired me to be a better wrestler and learn about it, because he seemed like he really cared about the dynamics of wrestling and all the ins and outs of it. So Yeah, it was a really good experience for me to meet him.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing your memories on Deron. He
There,
truly meant
there are a ton of people that went through Slammers, and so many times you hear that, and
Yeah.
it infamously may be the stiffest rain canvas in the history. It was like
Yeah.
it had a padding on it, but it might as well have been padding on concrete.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
felt like.
Yeah,
I go, man, this is insane.
right.
And of course, Sam Houston was tough as nails. He would just fly, land flat in his back. And I go, let me see you do that again, Sam. Because I honestly, I chickened out until I watched him do it a couple of times and go, okay. And he explained to me how to land and how to disperse the energy and all that stuff. But still, it knocked the fire out of me every single time I did it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it had that reputation for sure. Any stories with any of the superstars, other than you shared with us Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Triple H? Well, I mean, you shared a lot. I want to say that horse thing was the WrestleMania 21. Does that sound right, Eric? And the Braveheart
yes, they
thing
were here in Hollywood, correct?
Yeah. Any other before we jump ahead out of the wrestling? Any other superstars?
Yeah, I would like to share some of you. I had the honor of stunt doubling Sting, and the gimmick was, I had to wear his whole gimmick, get face painted and everything. And I had Goldberg was supposed to throw me through one of those storefront windows. I mean, those 8 foot high, by 6 feet wide glass windows. And it's a freaky thing, guys, because you're standing and I'm standing there looking at this window going, if they don't blow that thing and I go through it, I'm going to get ripped to shreds by those shards of glass. And fortunately I hit it just right. They blew the glass, went right through it. I still had about 30 or more cuts all over my body. I kind of flap open on my forearm and still have a scar from it. But that was a wild experience. But the coolest thing was I got to meet Steve, and he and I talk on the phone to this day. He's a brother Christian too. And what an icon. What an amazing guy at 64. I mean, I saw him jump off a ladder. I don't know if you saw that thing where he knocked his teeth out. Did you guys catch that? He literally went flying off a ladder, and he was supposed to land on this guy. And he said he fell just a little bit short because as he pushed off the ladder, the momentum of the ladder went backwards instead of staying straight. Nobody stabilized it, so he couldn't jump as far as he wanted to. And he hit the ground and cut his I guess his teeth. So I mean, it was rough. But man, what a stud and an amazing human being. Just an amazing man.
Yeah, that was not too long ago in AEW.
Yes.
Which again for 64. My goodness. I mean, most Americans are hitting retirement age. Not Sting, not Steve Borden. No, let's. I mean, and one would even argue that his work now, right, in the last, I'd say 10 years, would rival anything that he did in the 20 years before it. So, that's wild.
And guys, he's so humble too.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, he's such a humble man. It just blows me away every single time. And he'll call me, check up on me, and I remember, and I never asked him for anything, but I just remember one time he was coming to LA, and I got a pastor who's just a wrestling, fanatic, and so he knew I was friends with Sting, and I called Steve and I said, "Is there any way that I could get some tickets?" He goes, "Oh yeah, man, for your pastor, anything." So he set my pastor up with this kid, and they went and right up in the ring. It was, next to the ring. So it was a blast. He's just a super classy guy, and I love the guy. He's a great brother.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up. He has ties in the church, of course, and he's also a SoCal guy. He was lived in Santa Clarita for a long time, and where did you grow up exactly, Deron?
Yeah, so I was born in San Diego, but as I was telling you earlier, I been in the San Fernando Valley most of my life. I spent most of my time in Sherman Oaks and Van Nuys,
Yep.
And from there, I went out to, like I was telling you earlier, to Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
So I got 20 years out there, and that's when I was doing most of my acting stuff. Was when Woodland Hills. Love it out there. So I've been a guy all my life until I moved to Riverside, where I'm at right now.
And you went to school, high school, and your formative years. That was in San Diego. I got you.
I'm sorry, guys. Could you repeat the question? I missed out on that.
Yeah. So your formative years was San Diego, high school years?
No, actually, my high school years, 3 of my high school years, I was literally up towards San Francisco in a place called San Mateo High School. And then I came back down and I went to Grant High School in Van Nuys for my senior year. So, yeah, so most of it was out this way, but the 3 years of my high school was up north with my dad.
Okay, cool. El Camino.
Yeah. Really? That's oh my gosh. So you've been out there like most of your life for sure, right? That's awesome.
I was out here and then I came back and then I went back to New York and then I went to live in downtown and now my girl and I, we just happen to live like right near where I grew up. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. But Eric, you had another question.
Yes, I did. I know
Sure.
you're talking about how, basically you got stopped in your tracks. You had an unfortunate family situation that, was a huge loss to your whole family. Can you tell everybody how you got through those times and what you're up to now?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, my wife tragically had a heart attack at 35. She went in for an elective surgery, and basically she got a blood clot from it, and it traveled up her thigh, went into her lung, and that's why she passed away at 35 years old. So at that time, I went through some serious gut checks and some serious faith checks because, missing my wife and the mother of my children was devastating for me because I planned, my plan was to be married for life with this girl and raise a family, and it just didn't go that way. So as I'm dealing with that and grieving with that, I got a call from my sister and say, why don't you go over and visit mom? Now, my mom and I were super close. I would see her once a week. She was an angel of a person. And I would go to her house at least once a week, have dinner with her, fellowship. And my sister said she called her and she wasn't home. And I go, well, mom's out shopping, probably. She goes, Deron, can you go home and check on mom? And I said, okay. So I drove over to the house and her car was in the carport, knocked on the door, nobody answered. And so I got the key that was under the mat, opened the door, and guys, it's weird. It's like when I opened the door, I was stepping into what felt like the Twilight Zone. And by that, I mean, the atmosphere was just dark, dim, and the air tasted weird. I mean, I just completely knew something was not right. So I'm scanning the room. I'm looking up, cross over, side to side. I looked down, and there was my sweet mom. She died. She died of a heart attack that night before. So that was a super, super painful, gut-wrenching trial of my life. And I still dream about her. I mean, it's just one of those things where I was just super close, and I dream about my wife. But what literally got me through it, and I talk to people all the time about this stuff when they're going through tough times. It's like, if you don't have your faith anchored in something greater than yourself, then you're not going to make it when tough times hit. And to me, because I had my faith anchored in God and my faith in Jesus Christ and my Savior and the Holy Spirit that was giving me the strength to go on, I don't know if I would have made it. I just don't think I could have gotten through it because I'd had these 2 major losses, and I still had 2 girls to raise. So I'm trying to put on, a happy face for my daughters and help explain why mommy's dead and grandmommy's dead and why God didn't kill them, and just say, no, God's a loving God. These things just happen. But dealing with this stuff by myself, And so I was still doing work here and there to support the family, but dealing with that. And I ended up moving out of LA, getting away from my friends, getting away from my church, and into a place where I was helping a guy put a documentary together for his life. And there was just a bad combination for me, because I did that stunt job that I told you about earlier, where I shattered my hip. I mean, when the doctor saw my hip, he said, Deron, this is like the worst hip injury I've ever seen. And this guy had done thousands of surgeries. So he set me up to have a hip surgery. Now, to go back a little bit, you know, most every stunt guy I know, you know, a lot of times lives on painkillers. Some of them drink, but the pain, these guys, that's how a lot of times they deal with the pain. I had never smoked pot for pain. I never drank a drop of beer in my life, never been drunk, never took a pain pill, even though they've been offered to me many, many times. And I was at that place and in so much pain, and I think so much emotional pain, that a doctor finally offered me what he called this wonder drug called Oxycontin. And he said, Deron, this drug is so amazing, you're not going to be addicted to it. And I'm looking at him, I think, that's not possible. It's a narcotic. He said, no, you might become dependent. And so I literally laughed at him. I said, well, what's the difference between dependent and addicted? You know, it sounds like the same thing, only just semantics here. And he said, oh, no. See, you don't have an addictive personality because you were never on drugs or that stuff. And so you'll be fine. You'll be able to get off of it. Well, you know, what he's not seeing is I've got the most addictive personality in the world, because I'm out there jumping off buildings, getting beat up. I mean, I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a total, you know, ready to be primed for an addiction, you know. So I tried this stuff, guys, and man, 2 months I was addicted. And when I say I was addicted, I was full in. And I'll tell you why. Because not only did it help mask the pain in here, but it started masking the pain that I felt from my mom and my wife. So suddenly I started feeling like I could breathe again. And I met this one doctor, and he was a Gladiator fan. And guys, he gave me more Oxycontin than any man should ever take in his life. And I took all of it. And I became so addicted. And, you know, this is one of the toughest things in my life, because I really let my daughters down. You know, I really, you know, broke their hearts. I was never harsh with them. I never hit them or yelled at them, but they saw daddy acting like, you know, somebody was drunk, basically, because they don't know what, you know, someone addicted to Oxycontin is like. So there was a day, guys, where I was in so much pain, I could not step into the shower. The pain meds stopped working, because when you take these drugs,
Right.
they stop after a while. And you can take more and more and more, and you get to a place where they don't work no matter what you do. So now you're totally addicted, and you're scared to death of coming off, because you don't want to go into withdrawals, which is a nightmare.
Right.
So you keep taking it just to be normal. And I just got to a place, and I honestly, I was in my living room, guys, and I said, you know, Lord, I'm too much of a coward to kill myself. And my daughters are here, but I've blown it. I've blown it with you. I've blown up my life. I've let my daughters down. I'm in so much pain. I can't step into the shower. You can take me. If you want to take me, just take me. And I said, other than that, if you will get me through this, if you will take me through, Lord, every ounce of my body will be spent for the rest of my life serving you and helping you. And it's not that I wasn't doing it before, because I was, but I just knew in my heart this was going to be different. Something was going to be different. So it was literally like one of those live or die moments for me, guys. And I went in and I got the surgeries. And after the first surgery, guys, a month after it, I was almost down to no painkillers. And I woke up one day, and my right hip, which had been replaced, it was swollen out like a half a football, red, blistering, and the stuff that was the holes that were in my hip that the guy had sutured up split open. So basically, I got a systemic infection in my body, a strep infection. And I went to the emergency room, and it's like everything stopped. They rushed me into surgery and they replaced my hip again. So for the next 5 months, I didn't know if I was going to live or die, because the doctor told me, Deron, you got a 1 in 3 chance. 1 is you're going to die, 2 is you're going to lose your leg, or 3, you're going to pull through. And I'm thinking 2 of the 3s really suck. I don't like the thought of that. So, I was praying. I said, God, you got me here, and I'm not going to give up. I believe you're going to heal me of this. And 5 months later, that wound closed up, and I was healed. But I was still addicted because I started using painkillers again. So I went into rehab, and I came out of rehab and I failed. I started using again. I went to rehab again. I came out and I failed. And it took me 4 times to get it right and to get myself sober. But my point is, guys, that people don't realize failure happens to everybody. We're all going to fail no matter what that is. But if we can learn to fail forward, if we can take whatever that failure is and learn from it, glean whatever we can from that and move forward, then we're going to succeed eventually. And that's what I was doing. I mean, every time I failed, I came back and said, why did I fail? What do I need to change? Do I need to change my environment? What is it? And so I was literally getting closer and closer, continuing to pray. And the 4th time was a charm, because I have not touched an Oxycontin pain pill, anything, in the last 5 years. And truly, I give all the glory to God for that, because you know what? Without him, I couldn't have done it. It's just too hard. And now I think you guys know that. Now I've been managing a sober living house for the last almost 5 years. And so I'm a drug and alcohol counselor, among the other things I do. And I work with guys all the time that are suffering with addiction. I'm talking to their parents, their moms that are in pain because they don't know what to do about their kids. I counseled a woman today for 2.5 hours about her son. And I just really feel like this is my calling. This is my ministry, to help these people as much as possible. And wherever churches open their doors, I'm going to share my testimony and give God the glory for the amazing grace that he's had on my life.
Wow, dude, Deron, wow. I'm almost speechless. Just to let you know, you got a donation. Eric and myself, we're happy to donate, and also give the information out to the folks listening here, how they can help out if they so choose, be so kind to do. And we thank you folks that are watching in advance for, if you were moved by that just as much as we were, then I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There's a new documentary. I don't know how new, but it's pretty new on Netflix now, called Painkiller. And it's
Painkiller?
Yeah, it's called Painkiller. It's a 6-episode series documentary. Matthew Broderick, he plays the head of Purdue Pharma, and so this was the whole documentary is how Purdue kind of got away with all this in the early 2000s. It's on Netflix now. I just finished it, coincidentally enough. Well, there's no coincidences. This is all coming together here, right? But
not amazing. Hey, was Michael Keaton in that one or no?
No, not Michael Keaton. Matthew Broderick,
okay.
and I can't think of the other names now. But very well done. And these guys were just absolutely evil, what they did. And so it's to hear a story like this, knowing how difficult it is. I mean, people don't realize that this stuff is basically heroin in a pill.
Yes. Same thing.
And so good tributes to you for, my God, persevering the way you did. Just thank you so much, Deron, for sharing that. And I hope that's an inspiration to those that are watching that may be going through something similar like this right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let everybody know, because as you guys know, and especially in the wrestling industry, all these things, people either are addicted or know somebody that's addicted, whether it's their family or friends. We kind of all know somebody. We know that uncle who's just kind of a little bit sloppy or whatever. But people are really suffering out there, and they really feel like they have no hope. And I was there. So, if anybody wants to give me a call, I'll give you guys my number. Friend me on Facebook, whatever it takes. I will get back to you. That's a promise, because it's just that important to me.
And Deron, truly, you are an inspiration to all of us. Just hearing your story is an inspiration to me personally. And do you have an email that anybody could reach you at as far as how they could maybe send donations to you? We'll also, when we edit this, put it in there. But do you have an email you'd like to give out right now?
Yeah, please. That would be great. They can get a hold of me at BIGDMCBEE99 @gmail. That's Big D McBee 99 @gmail. They can get a hold of me there or on Facebook. But yeah, please contact me, guys. It's that important. And also, I know this is not standard procedure, but I want to give up my phone number because it's just that important to me. And somebody may not be able to get a hold of me through, my big D, Gmail. But my phone number is 818-612-4304. Don't leave a message because my messages are always full. Just leave a text and I will get back to you no matter what. It's Deron McBee, 818-612-4304. Don't hesitate to call if you or a loved one or family member have an addiction problem. I'll tell you a quick story. I did a podcast for this guy. I'm not going to say his name. Another wrestling guy, sweet guy. He's got an alcohol problem. And when he heard my story, we talked, off air, and he told me about it. And so we talk now, and I'm working with this guy. And, it's just that important that the message gets out there right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And
we don't want to take too much more of your time because you've been so generous with your time. One last thing, and then we'll give you a couple more shout outs. Do you have any stories from your time, doing Curb Your Enthusiasm, Married with Children, Walker, Texas Ranger, or any of the list of movies that we've seen that you've done, whether, we've seen them in the theaters ourselves or on IMDb? Do you have anything you'd like to share with anybody real quickly?
Yeah, sure. So Curb Your Enthusiasm was really funny. I did an episode called Thor 14, and I played a wrestler. And basically what the scenario was Larry David was following me. I'm driving a station wagon. I got my 3 kids in the back, and they're playing, cops and robbers. They're shooting at him with their fingers. He's shooting back at them. And one of the kids gets freaked out and says, "Hey, Dad, this guy's shooting us." So I stop my car and I get out. And the way it was written was I was supposed to cuss him out. I mean, MF, this, that, the other thing. And I'm thinking, you know what? Everybody does that. That's old news. Everybody's heard the F-bomb. And I've had kids and I've been mad sometimes. And sometimes when you're mad, you can't say that word. So you say, boogers or poops pants, you get so mad. And so when I got down, he rolled his window down and I said, "Listen," I said, "you bald-headed turd." I said, "I'm going to break your finger and shove it so far up your sphincter, you're going to have to go to the hospital, take it out," or something like that. He's cracking up. So I did it again and he cracked up again. 3 times I'm cracking Larry David up. And I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm just thinking we're having a good time. Well, one of the first assistant directors 10 minutes later comes up to me and said, "Deron, do you realize what you just did?" I go, "No." And he said, "Nobody has ever made Larry David break character. Nobody's made him laugh. Nobody." And he said, "You cracked him up 3 different times." So I had the distinct honor up to that point to make him laugh and break character. So I just really thought that was fun. And really one of my most fun moments in acting was working that episode. So it was really a blast.
You were literally with one of the great. Yeah, that is a badge of honor, man. You're making the creator of one of the maybe the greatest comedy of all time, and one of the great comedic minds. I mean, even before Seinfeld, he went back to the days of Woody Allen and all that. So my goodness, yeah, that is a badge of honor if I ever.
Yeah, it really, the episode turned out great. It won some kind of award. I think just because of my language. And the other thing was too, is like, you know what, I can glorify God by not cussing, and I've learned that. And ever since, 20 years ago, I said, I'm not going to use a cuss word in a movie. I'm going to change it to something else because it's so obvious and everybody does it. So why not just use your brain a little bit and think of something that has the same force or the same meaning, but doesn't have 4 letters to it. And that's always worked out in my favor.
It's like in wrestling, they say it's cheap heat.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Deron, we truly appreciate your time. It was truly an honor to have you on. Are there any last shout outs you'd like to give? Of course, we will also be plugging all your information about how people could get a hold of you, whether they need help or they want to send donations to you. We'll send you a copy of this before we put it up.
Yeah, that's great. Listen, as I said earlier, I literally do what I do non-gratis. I counsel people hours at a time. I never charge anybody. I'm helping people get resources that they need. So, if somebody wants to donate, it would be such a blessing to me. I literally don't take a dime except for gas money and stuff like that to get to where I need to go. But it would really be a blessing because especially these days, guys, what's going on with the fentanyl out there. It's killing kids right and left. I mean, I've got a kid in this house who lost his best friend about a year ago. The kid had never taken drugs. He took 1 fentanyl pill and he was dead. And that's how bad this stuff is. So, people need to be touched and help them now more than ever. So yeah, if you can help, you send it to my my Gmail, Big D McBee 99 at Gmail. That would be awesome. Or you can call me 818-612-4304.
Still in the 818.
818-612-4304.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deron, for your time. We will make sure to get this out, and I will also help on social media plugging all this
Thank
info.
you.
No, thank you.
Thanks,
We on behalf of Chris and myself, we truly appreciate your time, and you're an inspiration to all.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you.
On behalf of Deron, on behalf of Eric and Adam Woods, the man behind the scenes, I'm Chris Kloss. This has been the Wrestling with Reality podcast. Deron McBee, aka Thor, aka Malibu. Thank you for joining us. And this was a great episode. We hope you enjoyed it, fans. And all the information that Deron just talked about will be below. Check it out. It's for a good cause. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Deron. Thank you, Eric. And so long.
Thank you.
See ya.